This video is all about the new OTS-9 and comparing it to the Cold War MP5 as well as the Milano, both of which have had nerfs as well, by the way. If you enjoy weapon stat breakdowns and weapon comparisons, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we try to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. And don't forget to click that link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel. We do post extra gameplay content over there. Now, like I said, this video is all about comparing the new OTS-9 to the Cold War MP5 as well as the Milano, and we will have those nerf stats in this video as well. Before we get into the actual breakdown, I wanted to show you the class setups we use to compare all of these weapons. Now, the class setup you'll see on screen just now, and it's the GRU Suppressor, Tiger Team Spotlight, KGB Skeletal Stock, or the last stock, the Bruiser Grip, and then the largest magazine attachment. Now, we used this same class setup and copy pasted it across all of the weapons. So as you can see, we did the exact same thing with the Milano, and we did exactly the same with the Cold War MP5. Now, the next thing I want to quickly show you is the patch notes. Now, we did make a video going over all the patch notes, so if you want to watch that, I'll leave a link at the end of this video. But the main ones we're focusing on here is the Milano and the Submachine Gun Alpha for Black Ops Cold War, which is basically the Cold War MP5. So for the Milano, they said they increased the recoil slightly, which we'll take a look at. They said the maximum damage range was decreased by 12%, which we never really focused too much on because damage range isn't massively important. The headshot multiplier was decreased from 1.62 to 1.38, which we've taken a look at. The upper torso multiplier has been decreased, and the lower torso multiplier has been decreased as well. So overall, the damage for the Milano has been decreased. And then similarly for the Cold War MP5, they've done a kind of similar thing. So the maximum damage was decreased from 33 to 31, and then the minimum damage was decreased from 25 to 24. Before we take a look at the TTKs and recoil for these three weapons, I do want to go over the overall handling stats and comparing them to the OTS-9. So on screen just now, you will see the Milano on the left, the OTS-9 down the middle, and the MP5 on the very right. So the rate of fire for each of these weapons, OTS-9 and the Cold War MP5, is very similar, but the Milano does have a much slower rate of fire at 576 rounds per minute. The ADS speed on the Milano is 233 milliseconds. The OTS-9 ADS is the fastest at 133 milliseconds. Now, this is with all the attachments stacked on the weapon, keep that in mind. And then the ADS on the Cold War MP5 is the slowest. The maximum magazine size for all of these weapons is 55 for the Milano, 40 for the OTS-9, and 50 for the Cold War MP5. Then the reload time for the OTS-9 and the Milano is exactly the same, whereas the Cold War MP5 comes out a little bit slower by about 70 milliseconds. Lastly, I also wanted to show you what the firing strafing speed for each of these weapons would be with these attachments. And as you can see, the OTS-9 definitely comes out as the fastest firing strafing speed, but the Milano is a close second, and the Cold War MP5 is definitely the slowest. So other than magazine capacity, the OTS-9 actually has one of the best overall handlings when it comes to an SMG inside Warzone. But the next thing we need to take a look into, of course, is the time to kill values for these weapons. So on screen just now, you will see the damage values as well as the time to kill values for all three weapons. I do want to let you know that the long range damage values for the Milano, the Cold War MP5, and the OTS-9 might be a bit wrong. And the reason for that is because I test this in a private match against bots and they're moving around constantly. The close range values are definitely 100% accurate, but the long range values might be slightly off. And of course, all the values have changed when it comes to the Milano and the Cold War MP5. So in orange at the bottom, I've left the old chest TTK for the Cold War MP5 and the Milano so you can compare it to what we have now. And the overall weapon balancing theme here was to increase the TTK across every weapon. So as you can see, for the headshot damage on the Milano is now 44.36. The headshot damage on the OTS is 45.27. And the headshot damage on the Cold War MP5 is 47.36. The chest shot damage on the Milano is 39 and then drops off down to 32. The OTS starts at 34, drops off down to 20. The MP5 starts at 31 now and drops off down to 24. Now, the next thing I want to focus on is chest shot TTKs, but before I do that, the only gun that reduces your TTK if you land one single headshot is the Cold War MP5. So if you land one headshot with the Cold War MP5, you will reduce your TTK, but the other weapons don't have this benefit. When it comes to chest TTKs now, as you can see, the Milano has had an increase significantly when it comes to overall time to kill. At close range, the time to kill previously was 579 milliseconds. Now it's 625 milliseconds. And then the long range TTK was previously 683 milliseconds, and now it's 729. So as you can see, that's a huge increase when it comes to TTKs overall. Now, a similar thing has happened with the Cold War MP5 as well with its damage reduction. So as you can see, the close range TTK for your chest shots is 562 milliseconds, whereas before it was 492 milliseconds. The long range TTK is now 703 milliseconds, whereas before it was 632 milliseconds. As you can see, the Cold War MP5 TTK has been increased significantly as well, and this is to make it more in line with some of the other weapons in the game. But when it comes to the OTS-9, as you can see, it actually has the fastest TTK out of all of these weapons you have on screen when it comes to close range. Now, at longer ranges, it does drop off significantly, but most people will be using this gun at close range as an SMG as it's intended. So it's not going to be the best sniper support, but it's definitely going to be the best close range TTK SMG in the game. So when it comes to overall TTKs now, they have increased them significantly across the board, but the OTS-9 does stand out amongst the rest because it does have a sub 500 millisecond TTK up close, and that is massive when it comes to SMGs. You want to make sure you have the fastest TTK, but can you land your shots? That's another really important thing. So on screen just now, you will see a recoil chart taken at a 10-meter distance with all three of these weapons, and this is with the attachment stacked on all of the weapons as well. So as you can see, the Milano stated in the patch notes that I got a recoil increase, but to be completely honest, you don't really notice it whatsoever. The Milano originally had pretty much zero recoil, and it still has not any recoil at all. On the OTS-9, the recoil pattern is pretty much vertically upwards, and keep in mind we are using pretty much no recoil controlling attachments besides the GRU suppressor. So like I said, this is pretty much the base recoil on the weapon, and it's very easy to control even at longer distances. The Cold War MP5 has got to be one of the worst recoil patterns for any SMG or any gun inside Warzone at the moment, and that's what makes it kind of hard to use, is the recoil pattern of the Cold War MP5, because it shoots upwards quite harshly, and then after that it stops at the very top, whereas every other recoil pattern is very consistent. It travels at the same rate constantly. So what can we take away from this video? So when it comes to the best close range SMG in the game, the OTS-9 is hands down the best gun. That's because it has the same TTK that the Cold War MP5 had previously. It also has easier to manage recoil. It also has easier handling and better handling. So this is basically a no-brainer because it's got a faster ADS time and all that kind of stuff too. So when it comes to close range, OTS-9 is the best SMG. The only issue with this gun right now is that if you're using it and you've tried a few games on Plunder, you'll notice that the iron sights are very weird. When you move left to right, it's hard to track enemies. So hopefully they fix that. That's kind of an issue with the OTS-9. Now, when it comes to the Milano, it's still a great SMG to use in Warzone. It doesn't have the TTK potential as it had before, but as sniper support, it's still one of the best SMGs to use, especially for those long range distances. So you can still use the Milano, and the recoil is still non-existent. But the Cold War MP5, you just don't need to use it anymore. It's not a good gun whatsoever. I would not recommend it. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and it takes us a while to put together videos like this. Also, click the link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel, and thank you very much for watching.